There it is, subwoofer in the boot of an EP3 Type R, works fantastic. More than enough room for more drugs and MCAT or whatever people get up to these days. That thing is so good. Oh, it sticks like shit to a blanket. Right, what's up guys? So today you join me from the driver's seat of a 2002 Honda Civic Type R EP3. I wanted to grab this car because Corey, the owner, bought it when he was 18 years old. So I wanted to chat about prices with, you know, insurance with him, with how he's felt, you know, the year after driving this car, how good it was of an experience to drive as an 18-year-old, and get some fucking VTEC on the channel. Awesome. So Corey bought this at 18 years old. After having his first car, which was a Fiesta, he wanted something a little bit more lively, and oh yeah! I love a good bit of VTEC. It always just kicks me that you can have this much fun for next to no money. It just gets me every time. So at 17 years old, he bought his first car, which was a Fiesta. Good little first car to have, don't get me wrong, good car, but he always lusted for an EP3. So he saved all year for this exact car. He was able to buy it when he turned 18, which is fantastic. He was able to pay the insurance and everything, which hands down to him, hard work pays off, and I absolutely love that. I love that, you know, the younger generation are going out there and working hard at the younger age to get these fantastic cars in their possession. Now obviously at 18 years old he was paying a considerable amount, not as much as I was thinking, around 1,400 quid, which I don't think's too bad. I've heard a lot more horror stories of double that at the same sort of age with the same sort of car. So that's a great thing, you know. Living on the Isle of Wight, there's no crime here, which is a fantastic thing. But let me know in the comments what you think of that price. I'd love to know if you had an EP3 at this age, sort of 18, 19 years old, and how much you paid. So this car is sat on 18-inch aftermarket wheels. It's sat on some springs and dampers to bring the car down a little bit. Now, always jumping in these EP3s, I'm always met with this fantastic gear knob situation that's given to you. I love it. It's so direct from the steering wheel, and every time I get in it I'm just like, yes, that is a bloody good idea. And I wish more cars had that sort of setup where literally you could touch the gear knob with your hand as you're driving. Changes are that simple. You don't have to go far for it, which makes for a good little B-roader, which is what I always talk about on this channel. This is it. This is a fantastic B-roader for the price. She fucking loves it. Now this has a HKS induction kit as well that roars away. Got a nice deep groan to it once it comes into VTEC. The springs and dampers have stiffened the car up enough so you can chuck it into sort of any core you fancy. Fantastic, it's such a good laugh. It feels so dialed. Is it even on 18s as well? This car is on 18-inch wheels and it feels that dialed. Proper good laugh. I love taking these Hondas down these back roads. Just makes having one of these worthwhile. It really does, just this bit of road. So just as Corey's come back from work, could have taken it down this beautiful road, just fucking hurt it the whole way home. Now obviously when you're young, you don't have that much money to play with, especially if you're paying a lot for insurance and a lot for the car to start with. You pay it outright. So if you're going to do anything, just put an exhaust and air filter on it. That's all these cars need. Let's just talk about the price of these. They're nothing. You can get a cheap high mileage if you want to. You know, some enthusiasts would have owned it at some point, but don't get me wrong, someone would have abused it at some point. But you can get them sub £2 grand now, which is insane money. You can have this much fun for that little price tag. So here we are, EP3 Type R in the background, lovely summer's evening, a bit of B-road bashing on the way here. So let's have a look around this Honda Civic EP3 Type R. Now obviously the previous EP3 I've done on the channel was a lot more modified than this one, and I think if you're 18 years old, 17 years old, 19, whatever, if you're, below 20, this is probably the car that you're looking at. You're only really looking at sort of air intake mod, exhaust mod, maybe a bit of lowering here and there, but nothing more than that. The splitters are expensive, the exhausts are expensive, the proper ones, let's say. The big spoilers are expensive, so I think this is a good buyer's guide, I would say, to a younger, less expensive sort of version of what I've already driven. Now, starting with styling wise, I think that these are very contemporary looking. Although this is a 2002 model, it still looks really good for its age, and I think they are going to age pretty well. This one is sat on springs and shocks, lowered it a little bit on the 18-inch wheels, 215 35s all round. Not expensive either. This is a cheap modification you're looking at right here. This is not an expensive suspension and wheel setup on this car. Coming around the side, you've got obviously your Type R logo down there, Type R logo on the back to let everyone know she's a Type R. You've got the Skunk 2 stainless steel exhaust system, hangs quite low on this car, but the car itself is quite low, so that's something to note. The Skunk 2 exhaust systems on these are relatively lower than others that I've driven. You'd obviously drive it knowing that that was that low. Coming around the back into the boot, and as you can see, there is already a subwoofer in the car. This is sub 20-year-old territory, and look how much space he's got with the subwoofer, with the amp on the back of the seat there. More than enough room for more activities, girls at nightclubs or whatever you young kids do these days. There it is, subwoofer in the boot of the EP3 Type R, works fantastic. More than enough room for more drugs and MCAT or whatever people get up to these days. Jumping inside, you're met with a good looking interior, very Japanese styled interior, white dials, loving the steering wheel on these, always have. The red stitching round really sort of goes with the car. You got these fantastic seats, which obviously I've driven a lot of cars that have these seats in them that shouldn't have them as standard, and that says a lot about how good these seats are and how cheap you can pick them up really as well. And obviously you've got that fantastic gear knob and steering wheel combo, the position of the gear knob with the size of the steering wheel, absolutely perfect for the B-road bashing. More than enough cubby holes all round for you to hide whatever you fancy from your parents, and you've got more than enough room in the back seat for things that you want to do with other people in the back seat when you are that sort of age. And obviously up front you've got your HKS air filter as well to roar the VTEC when it comes in. And as you come onto Auto Trader here, you'll see that you're able to buy these. You're looking at this sort of price, £2,000 you can buy them for, 100,000 miles, and then going down 118.95 for that one there. That's good, and it's white, which is even more JDM points. So yeah, I think overall, if you can afford the insurance on it, the cars are readily available. 2,500, 2,000 for a really shit one, 3,000 for a really good one, and then £5,000 for the newer shape facelifts. But obviously price, if you've only got £2,000 in your back pocket and you want your second car at 18 and you're able to insure it for 1,500 quid, say, there is your car. That's what I would buy. And if I at 18 would have jumped in that, I'd have gone and bought one because I think they're that good. It really is an all-round perfect package for someone at that sort of age. Also, I think at 18 years old, if I was to jump in one of these, I would have been ecstatic to use it in the way that these should be used, which is on the limiter, going through a B road, having it large. It's such a good car, especially for a young person. You can still get everything in the boot. There's enough aftermarket parts around, so everything is relatively cheap, depending on, genuine Mugen spoilers and all this sort of business. If you just want the exhaust and you just want the intake, they're next to no money, which is fantastic. You can open up a, can of worms really to modify these for such a small price. And when you do, and you come through a little lovely bit of road like this, just fucking going at it. That thing is so good. Oh, it sticks like shit to a blanket. The Skunk 2 exhaust system on this one as well, it's got a great burble to it. So think, you know, if you can get these for the, you know, price they are, and you can get them cheap enough, go and find a good place to get insured. That's the main thing. Do you know, the trouble is I never got into one of these until my 20s, you know, 24, 25, and I missed out really, because if I was 18 and I'd have jumped in one of these and I knew that I could insure it and I knew I could afford the petrol, the tax, you know, all that sort of good stuff, and then I saw how much these were to buy these days, I would have been made up. I would have been like, yep, I'll buy one. Back in the day when I, you know, started driving, these were ridiculous money. They'd just come out, so you couldn't buy one cheap. They were, you know, really were expensive. I remember someone buying one for 10 grand. So, you know, that's how much they were at the time, which is a shame. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked the video. Make sure you like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.